Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to address you on the topic titled Sustainable Environmental Actions in a Distorted Economy. Um, I am Professor E.F. Ogumborede, a professor of geography in the Department of Geography and Planning Sciences at Adekunle Ajashi University at Akoko in Ondo State. I am presenting this paper in respect of the virtual training that is organized for Nigeria Environmental Society of Nigeria. I want to look at the post-impact assessment of COVID-19 on the environment. There's no doubt that global COVID-19 pandemics has emerged as the worst human tragedy of the 21st century. It has also resulted in the deaths of thousands of people, while millions of people have been infected with these deadly diseases. It has also resulted in the lockdowns of many economies and activities with numerous negative consequences on the people. The environment in which this pandemic operates include the air, water, and land on which people, animals, and plants live. The environment of man could be school environment, church environment, market environment, residential environment, and the likes. Whatever the environment, epidemics or pandemics have a long history in the world. For example, in 1720, there was a plague that ravaged the world. In 1820, there was cholera infestation all over the world. In 1920, there was Spanish flu, while in year 2020, coronavirus ravaged the whole world. From this historical view, one sees that the date of occurrences of these diseases is in a decade form, that is 100 years. Coronavirus started from Wuhan in China. It has spread across the world and has unleashed serious hardship to people and their economy since 2019. In Nigeria, the COVID-19 case update as at 11:20 a.m. on 30th April 2020 shows that 1,728 had tested positive, 307 had been discharged, and 51 had died. In other climes, we have reports that death toll in a day in New York rose up to 1,000. In order to stem down the geometric progression of this pandemic, a number of measures have been taken, in addition to people that tested positive that have been isolated in some centers where they are being treated. Some of the measures taken to checkmate the spread of COVID-19 include the use of face mask, washing of hands, use of hand sanitizers, and maintaining social or physical distances in a crowded environment. People are also advised to report anybody with symptoms of these deadly diseases in their environment. The other check was the total lockdown as imposed in Lagos State, Ogun State, and Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Other states in the country adopted partial lockdown and restricted movement within the towns and interlocal government areas only. This restriction had inflicted different degree of constraints as well as untold hardship on the people of this country. It has also distorted the market mechanism and people are left at the mercy of how to survive. There's no doubt, therefore, that the degree of how to survive differ from place to place and from people to people. While the salary earners of public servants are assured of their salaries as when due, other people working in private organizations risk losing their salaries. It is even worse for the self-employed people who depended on what they earn on a daily basis because the total lockdown in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun made them to stay permanently at home. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been some reactions to the checks imposed by the government. Some people, especially in the areas where the total lockdown had been imposed, cry of hunger and losing their jobs. Hoodlums were on the rampage, trying to survive by stealing and robbing houses. Traders, except those selling fruits and medicine, were hard hit by the lockdown policy of the government. It is in the realization of these challenges and its dire consequences on the economy that this paper is written with a view to determine how people could sustain themselves in a post-COVID-19 distorted economy. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, there is need for us to also look at some concepts that are relevant in this discussion. One of them is climate. Climate is the average weather condition of a place for a long period of time, usually not less than 30 to 35 years. This means that the troposphere, which houses the environment, is the weather-making layers where oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, dust, and inert gases are found. Environment is also the outcome of complex workings of physical, chemical, and biotic factors that act upon an organism, whether man or animals, or an ecological community, and ultimately determine its form and actions. The concept of environmental determinism and possibilism are also very relevant in this era of COVID-19. The relationship between nature and man is considered to be very basic and common in disease transmission or diffusion. In essence, the concept details the idea that the environment determines human life and the pattern of man's action. In other words, environmental determinism seems to accept that man is a servant of nature. On the other hand, the concept of environmental possibilism has greatly assisted man to provide solutions to natural environmental problems. This concept also shows that environmental determinism, though it exists, man, however, through time, has been able to shape the environment to make it livable. This is very true of the COVID-19 today, where human environmental situations and actions determine the possibility of spreading the disease and how it could be mitigated. Another relevant concept is sustainability. The idea of the sustainability in any ideal environment has to do with issues in the affairs of man all over the world. As long as man depends on the environment to carry out his daily activities as well as move his products over space, there may be no end at which his environment will be interrupted or degraded or violated. Therefore, the assumption that the more the population of man in his environment, the more the likelihood the violation it creates in his environment holds. This is because some problems that face man today are becoming complex, judging by his activities, and cannot be limited to any boundary. Again, if we are to judge this sustainability concept, it means whatever we do today, we must try as much as possible not to jeopardize the future of our children yet unborn. Within the last few decades, especially since the Stockholm Conference on the Environment in 1972, concern for the environment has brought home to man more forcefully the need to maintain the environment for a sustainable development. However, it would seem that man is not addressing the issue of environmental quality appropriately because rather than improve the environment continues to deteriorate. The above shows that our environment is endangered through numerous ways, among which are outbreaks of diseases, accidents, indiscriminate parking, and atmospheric pollution. The consequences are much more when viewed from the perspective of environmental health. Man's health is in serious danger if nothing significant is done to arrest the situation. And another concept that is also relevant is environmental health. Environmental health is a long-standing aspect of science that played a significant role in the reduction of incidences and prevalences of diseases since the 18th century. According to Bonita and Gestrom, environmental health intervention has brought about the control of the worst cholera outbreak in Britain in 1856. Since then, environmental health intervention in disease prevention and control, especially in multiple interventions, settling has increased tremendously. Diffusion theory is another relevant concept on how disease or innovations or ideas are moved from one point to another. They are very selective and diffuse to areas with similar status in terms of population, area extent, and level of development. Diseases, in this case, move by infecting people living in the same hierarchy of urban centers, and in some cases, people of the same status and their staff. Therefore, you expect Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Kano to be infected with similar diseases before it spreads to other less cities in Nigeria. In Nigeria, COVID-19 came into limelight in the month of March 2020, and since then, it has changed the landscape of the country. A number of steps have been taken to stem down the spread of these deadly diseases. President Buhari, while addressing the country the third time on this issue, announced gradual easing of lockdown measures and continuation of existing measures, but notably announced a phased relax of lockdown measures. The key highlights of his address include gradual and phased relaxation of lockdown measures in Ogun, Abuja, and Lagos from 2nd of May 2020. This implies the lockdown is extended by 1 week. However, Kano shall remain under total lockdown at least for the next 2 weeks. Selected businesses and offices can open between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. There will be an overnight curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. There will be a ban on non-essential interstate movement passenger travels until further notice. There will be partial control of interstate movement of goods and services from producers to consumers, and strict enforcement of use of face mask in public, in addition to strict social distancing measures. Nigerians are skeptical with the gradual relaxation policy of the government. While the government remains confident in its testing capacity, put at 2,500 per day, many people believe that the gradual relaxation of the lockdown measures at this time could lead to faster spread in communities, which will overwhelm the fragile healthcare system. In view of this pessimism, this paper, being proactive, look at how we can sustain some environmental actions in the distorted economy after the COVID-19 era. So we look at sustainable environmental actions in the distorted economy after global COVID-19 era. And here we look at the COVID-19, how it has affected the global, national, and local economy negatively. In Nigeria, we should therefore imbibe a healthy living by observing basic hygiene in our daily activities. For example, washing of our hands regularly after undertaking some activities, avoiding handshaking as much as possible, avoiding crowded environments, and sustaining the use of hand sanitizers anytime. Arising from this, therefore, there is likely to be job opportunity for those who might want to go into the production of liquid soap, sanitizers, and face masks, because demand will definitely rise. People give preference to food during this period of lockdown at the expense of clothes. It goes to show the importance of food as basic amenities of man. The government therefore recognize this and allow food to move across the state boundary. Lessons learned here is that government workers should practice market gardening activities in addition to their job, especially those that are not resident in typical urban centers where access to land may be a little bit difficult. The banking sector has been locked down for some weeks during the period of COVID-19. This means that banking business had experienced a dull moment. In order to come to life, the sector needs to reduce its interest rate to attract access to loans by small and medium enterprises. The more funds made available to SMEs and at a lower interest will quickly boost the business in the country. Banking sector, therefore, should resume work and provide services to customers to enable businesses in other sectors to blossom. The industrial sector had its own share in the lockdown too. The government should grant them some tax-free period to enable them to bounce back to business. The pharmaceutical companies should liaise with relevant university departments and research centers to look inward and find relevant drugs that can address the virus. Government should also adjust its spending to cover the loss that had been recorded during the lockdown period and in the face of falling revenue from oil. All leakage areas of government spending should be addressed without jeopardizing the welfare of Nigerian citizens. Government should also attach importance to manufacturing sector of Nigeria and ensure that the products of these companies are protected from similar products from other countries by adopting some physical measures or task measures. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, viewed from past experiences of endemic and pandemic diseases, the government needs to monitor cases of new outbreaks from communal and imported cases and take appropriate actions. The gradual relaxation of steps taken to stem the spread of COVID-19 should be reviewed on daily basis and appropriate actions taken. The distorted economy should be addressed with attention paid to SMEs, where majority of the less privileged are captured. Agricultural activities in small scale and large scale level should be boosted with a view to making food sufficiency a reality. The manufacturing sector should also be given priority in the scheme of addressing post-COVID-19 era economy. As much as possible, let the government provide an enabling environment that will influence positively the growth in this sector. Every Nigerian should embrace hygienic living as a way of reducing spreading of these contagious diseases in our environment. A tradition of good hygienic living will go a long way to reduce the spread of any diseases in the country. Let us also report any suspicious case to the appropriate authority. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your attention and for listening to this lecture.